Hey guys, it's Drea. So today I wanted to bring you a roundup review video. This is every single foundation I purchased in the year 2017. I kind of wanted to do this earlier in the year, like January, but you know, here we are. I have gotten to it eventually. I went through like all of my haul videos and favorites from last year, not all of them. God forbid, but a lot of them, just to kind of remind myself which ones I actually bought last year. So I hope this is comprehensive. It was kind of difficult to keep track, but I think I got all of them. I recently did a roundup video of every single eyeshadow palette I bought in 2017. I think it's a really good way for you to get a bunch of reviews all in one nice compact little video so you get lots of information. So that's why I wanted to do this for foundations. Let me know if there's another category of makeup you'd like to see. I feel like these two are the biggies for me, eyeshadow and foundation, because those are the two things I love playing with the most. Alright, let me just jump into what I'm wearing. I'll start there. This is in no kind of order. I'm just grabbing for whatever I grab for. One other thing. If I have a full review on any of these foundations, I will link them in the description bar below, like if there's a wear test or that kind of thing, so that you can go check those if you really want to see how they look on the skin. Alright. That being said, I'm wearing two foundations mixed today. So I'm wearing the Hourglass Vanish foundation. This is a stick foundation. Mine is in the shade Shell. And then I'm also wearing this stick foundation. This is the Lancome Teint Idole stick foundation. Looks a little different. This is in the shade Ivoire 4N, which is my shade in every Lancome foundation. I love that they do that. They name every foundation shade the same across like all of their lines. So if you know you're this in one, you're the same in the other. That's fantastic. Okay, the reason I mix these is because I really don't like this one and I really love this one. So I'm trying to use this up by mixing it with this. So out of these two, if you're gonna go for a stick foundation, I would go for this every single time. This is nice and full coverage. It blends really, really easily. That's what I don't like about this one. This one is almost full coverage. It doesn't blend well on me. It drags. It's really hard to blend out. I like to blend both of these out with a brush. It's really easy to do. And then if I see any streakiness at all, I'll go over it with a beauty blender. But this one, I don't find I ever get any streaky lines or anything. This I definitely do. This just blends really nicely into my skin. It makes me look like very photoshopped. It looks really, really great in pictures, but it looks good in real life. Like, it's not really cakey in real life. I find that this gets really cakey and this really settles into my pores. That's my biggest complaint about this, is that it settles like into any like little dots. Especially whenever I have that issue, it always tends to be like up around here. I don't know why, but I do find it sometimes on the cheeks too with this one. So I would never buy this again, but I do want to use it up, which is why I'm mixing it with this one. The only other thing I've ever noticed that I don't like about this is that it settles into my smile lines, like right here and right here. No other lines on my face does it do that with, but just those smile lines. I can live with that because I can kind of just, you know, do that if I notice it and blend it out. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. This created kind of a big hullabaloo last year. It was much hyped. I like it, but it's not really for me. Meaning, I have very oily skin. Very, very oily skin. You all know that. So I don't need a glowy foundation. This is definitely moisturizing and hydrating. I love, though, mixing this. I like mixing this with any foundation that's super thick, super matte. It's really great mixed with the actual L'Oreal Pro Matte. I think these two mixed together is a really nice finish. This is definitely a glowy foundation. It's kind of, I would say, medium coverage, very liquidy, whereas the Pro Matte is very thick. So when you mix them together, you get a really nice base. This tends to get really oily for me throughout the day. Again, oily skinned. If you're dry skinned, I've heard that it's fantastic for dry skinned people. I also find that the shade range in this is not the same as the Pro Matte. So for example, in Pro Matte, they all start with 1. In the Pro Glow, they all start with 2, but it's like 102. This is shade 202. But I find that this is way lighter than the 102. So the shades are kind of a little bit different. I also don't really like that. But overall, I love mixing this, so I will definitely be able to get a lot of use out of it. If you're super oily, I wouldn't use it on its own. If you're super dry, I say go for it. Let's talk about two of my favorite foundations from last year. If I was going to rank all of my foundations, these would definitely be in the top 3 for sure, and they're both drugstore. So this is the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation. This is medium coverage, nowhere near full coverage, definitely medium coverage. If you just want to look like your skin but better, that's what this will do. This is really good for oily skin. If you have oily skin, you're gonna put this on, you're gonna look natural and radiant throughout the day. You're not gonna look like a matte mask, but it will last from morning to night, and you might have to like repowder and blot once, maybe twice at the most. It has a pump on it, which is great for e.l.f. I love the packaging. It's very beautiful. I'm about halfway done this. I will definitely repurchase this when that runs out. And then my second favorite from last year is the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir Foundation. I would say this is better for somebody who is like combo, or combo to dry, or combo to oily, but not like really super oily or really super dry. This is kind of like good for a vast amount of people, but not specific ends of the spectrum, if that makes any sense. The reason I say that is because this is very like nourishing. It is hydrating in a way, yet it's still a little bit thick. Like you can feel it going on. It's not like really thin or hydrating. It's like nourishing but not hydrating, if that makes a lot of sense. It feels good on the skin, but it doesn't get very oily. It does last all day. It's like a medium to full coverage. I've heard a few people say medium coverage. I find that you get quite a bit of coverage with this. I love this with a beauty blender. I love almost every foundation the best with a beauty blender. I just find that's always the most flawless finish when you blend things out, but I've used it with a brush and I don't find it gets streaky. I love how radiant I look with this. It really makes your skin look glowy and healthy. Pump from the drugstore, fantastic. Glass bottle, love that. This though gets pretty dirty, and I was fine with CoverGirl. The pumps, like, they always leak, so I don't know what's up with that. It just tends to happen. Now for the big downside on this one. This oxidizes. So I always feel slightly orangey when I wear this. That could be mitigated by wearing like a light concealer, but if you don't want to like layer up a ton of product, you might not like that idea either. You could try going down a shade. I haven't tried that yet because, you know, I have this bottle and I don't necessarily want to have to run out and buy another one, but I definitely feel like this oxidizes once you put it on. Okay, my last of the top 3 favorite foundations would be this. This is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. Really good packaging on this too, like glass bottle. It has a dropper system, so when you open it up, it's got not really a dropper, it's more of a paddle, and you could just take that and like apply it directly to the face and then use your brush or beauty blender. Either one is fine. I don't get streaky with this. This is a medium, it's like a high medium coverage. When I did my all day wear test with this, I was blown away over how good my skin looked after such a long period of time of wearing it. Like usually I will get oily at about the 3-hour mark and I'll want to be blotting and repowdering, but during my check-in with this, I still looked really great and not oily at all. So this is like a day to night, all day wear. Fantastic if you have oily skin. Again, like I'm so oily that I still have to blot and repowder at least once a day with any foundation, like even my Este Double Wear. But for a drugstore, for me to look like that and only have to repowder once through the day is super amazing. And I would put the Wet n Wild foundation up against any high-end foundation in terms of how gorgeous it looks on the skin. When I was going through all my videos from last year trying to figure out which ones I bought, I realized I had purchased this, but I really don't remember much about this. It's the Rimmel BB Cream in Light. I do remember liking it more than I thought I would, but I don't really remember much else about it. So I think I need to put this like in a project or something to refamiliarize myself. I don't want to give a full review because I really don't remember, but I did buy that last year, so I had to include it in this. Okay, this is the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 Foundation. This is a cult classic, but I don't like it. I really don't like it at all. And I tried this so many times because so many of you say it's great on your oily skin. And if it's working for you, that's amazing, but it just doesn't work for me. I don't like the way it feels on my skin. It just feels like makeup sitting on top of my skin, but more than anything else, it settles into my pores in a really, really bad way, very noticeable way. Like, again, up at the hairline, around my cheeks, it's just those little dots, and I can't even blend them out. Like, that's the thing. If I could blend it out, that wouldn't bother me so much, but I just can't. So this I don't like, and I definitely won't be using anymore. I am going to do a declutter pretty soon, so stay tuned for those. Okay, these two, I was going to say I don't like both of these, but actually I kind of like one and not the other. This one I don't like. This is the Neutrogena Nourishing Longwear Makeup. SPF 20. Okay. When I think nourishing, I think it's going to feel good on my skin, right? I don't know why they say it's nourishing, what it has in it. Like, I don't know if it has vitamins in it or whatever. This has a really weird texture. It's very thick, very mousse-like, but like very thick and cakey. And sometimes I don't mind thick foundations if I'm getting like a super full coverage from it, but this is like very light to medium coverage. It's not even like medium coverage. It's light to medium coverage, and you can't build it up. Like, I've tried building it up, and I don't get any higher coverage with it, and I just feel cakier and cakier and cakier. So that's the weirdest thing about this. Long wear, no, not really. I get very oily with that, so that is one of my worst foundations of last year. This one here is the Model's Own Runway Foundation. It's just a little squeezy tube, which is fine. Like, it does its job, very utilitarian packaging. It says right on it, matte, and it definitely is. This is very, very matte, very dry looking on the skin, and it can tend to look a little cake facey. I would say you would probably be super good with this if you're just filming a video like I am, but how many people do that? Not a lot. Like, it's very few of us that need to give recommendations for stuff that looks great on camera. You're just living your life, right? You don't care about that for the most part. But it does look pretty good in pictures, but it doesn't look good close up. So this is kind of a no from me. Like, in some ways it's okay, but in other ways it's just like, there's so much out there that's way better than this. This was super hyped up. This is the Este Lauder Double Wear Nude Water Fresh Makeup. So for those of you that don't love Este Lauder regular double wear, which is very matte, very like thick, very full coverage, this is like the healthy glowy version of that. So this is a high medium coverage, very hydrating, very lightweight on the skin. I did a full review wear test on this too. It looks really good. It looks like healthy glowy skin, but it's not great for oily skin. It really doesn't last very well. Like, it will definitely come off my nose halfway through the day. I would never wear this to work for an 8-hour shift. I will look super like oily and greasy definitely a couple hours after wearing it. So this is a no. I like that there's SPF 30 in it. That's nice. And I also like the packaging. So it's your same Este double wear packaging. I have this one here to compare, but it's slightly different so that if you have both and you're reaching for one but not the other, you don't accidentally grab one. Very good mixing foundation. These two mixed together are amazing. They're really, really good because it's not super matte, it's not super hydrating, it's just the right amount. That's a Goldilocks combination. These last two I feel like are very similar in a lot of ways. You don't need both. Pick one or the other. This one is the Dior Skin Forever Perfect Makeup. Mine is in the shade 22. This has SPF 35 in it, which is great. This has a nice pump, very nice frosted glass packaging. This I would say is a high medium coverage, not full coverage, but pretty high up there. It feels pretty nice when you put it on the skin. I usually need at least 2 pumps to get it everywhere. And then I have a pretty good base going. This to me though, for the price tag, is not really anything to sing about. It's just very like, here's a base on your face, and that's just about all it gives you. It gives you just a plain base. There's nothing glowy about it. Like, there's nothing that makes your skin look healthy. You really get flat by putting this on your face. It's just that kind of thing where you really need to add the dimension back after you put the foundation on. That can happen a lot with the higher coverage foundations, but I do find that there are some out there that are high coverage that still give you some glowiness at least to your skin. I like this to mix other things with, but I don't love it by itself. To me, it's just like, there's not much to it, and I feel like that's not a really great review, and I don't really know how else to communicate that other than there's just not a lot to this except you're just getting foundation. And I feel like this one is very much the same. This is the YSL All Hours foundation. Mine is in the shade BD20. Again, pump, nice packaging, frosted glass bottle, really gorgeous. Same thing, like every time I go to review this, I have to really go back to other videos and remind myself what I thought about it, or I have to put it on to remind myself, because every time, like if there's like a day or two between wearing this, I will forget. I'll just forget what this does because it really doesn't do a lot. It's just that, again, one note base, you need to add so much back onto it to look human again. It just looks like a mask on your face. Both of these though are really good for mixing. So these are good all day wear foundations. They will wear pretty well throughout the day on oily skin. I might have to blot and repowder a couple times with these. They're not like the most amazing for keeping you matte, but they're pretty good. They will last all day, and therefore I do like mixing them with the more glowier of my foundations to just even everything out. If there's one thing I'd like for you guys to come away from this video knowing is that it's really okay to mix your foundations, to experiment with them, to figure out combinations that work well for you. You don't have to just buy one foundation and that's it. Now, if you can find your perfect foundation, that's great, but a lot of us can't, and there's things we need for different reasons, and so therefore you need to mix a few kinds to find something really good. You don't need this much foundation in your life. You don't. My foundation collection is out of control, but it's because I love reviewing it. It is probably one of my absolutely favorite things to review on my channel. I am obsessed with finding the perfect base that keeps me matte, keeps me not looking oily. That's just why I have so much, but you don't need this much. But I'm glad that I have this much so that I can give you all this information. So that is it for this video today. If you're new around here, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, so definitely subscribe, hitting that button down below. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope that you're speaking kindly to yourself, treating yourself well, especially when you look in the mirror. I love you guys. I will see you in my next video.